Today's presentation about important news on supplements. It includes metformin, vitamins group B, and resistant starch. Recently, Dr. Edward Omron published an update of his experiment on rejuvenation or extension of lifespan, and the name of the presentation is Niacinamide and Metformin 2020. So, and he presented some important details on his personal 5-year duration experiment to slow down aging process. We may check not only his words, but his appearance too, how he is going along with daily supplements of metformin and niacinamide in 1 gram dosages. This is how he looks recently. We can compare his appearance in December 2015 and November 2017. So we may see that the largest change in his appearance happened in 2 years from the beginning of the experiment, November 2017. And in 5 years of his experiment, he lost a lot of his body weight as well as some hairs. I cannot say he got looking younger, but certainly more focused and energetic. And Dr. Omron himself points out that the main achievement is his clarity of mind and ability to work hard as a practicing physician. Okay, so this appearance is. Again, we have to point out that Dr. Omron does not keep any special physical exercises and does not follow any special diet, yet he notes that he does not consume sugar and sweets, just because taking metformin is incompatible with sugar. Otherwise, side effects will appear, such as diarrhea, flatulence, nausea, and weakness. The important information in his update for me was that as a side effect of taking niacinamide in mega dosages is 1 gram per day, how he takes, and is hyperglycemia, an increase in blood glucose. I didn't know this and thought that the main mechanism of rejuvenation or extension of the lifespan with intakes of niacinamide is increasing the level of NAD, coenzymes of NAD plus and NADP, that is necessary fuel for certain proteins, which are also coenzymes. I immediately noticed for myself that human growth hormone injections also lead to an increase in blood glucose. So what is hyperglycemia? Hyperglycemia is high amount of glucose in blood. Metformin mitigate adverse effects of nicotinamide. Metformin should be on a daily multivitamin containing the vitamin B12 and folic acid. It is important to stay away from glucose-rich food and carbohydrates with metformin. Adverse effects include nausea, loose stool, and what I mentioned before also. Another important information for me was that the opinion of Dr. Omron that there is no big advantage in consuming much more expensive varieties of vitamin B3 compared to nicotinamide. He believes that this hype on expensive varieties of vitamin B3 is only dictated by the desire of pharmaceutical companies to make money on fashionable and expensive drugs. In my turn, I can add that the more expensive varieties of vitamin B3 are unstable to storage and decay in time with the formation of the same nicotinamide. So if we recall also the article which was published in 2011 about the life extension and rejuvenation, we remember that people were using injections of human growth hormone. And studies investigating the effects of growth hormone on glucose metabolism have demonstrated that glucose hormone increases glucose production through glucosagenesis and genosylis from liver and kidney. So you see the similarity in the action of metformin, of vitamin B3 and growth hormone. So despite they are different substances, they do the same job, increase the amount of glucose in blood. And also the glucagon and epinephrine fail to adequately raise blood glucose level. The body releases cortisol and growth hormone, which also can increase the blood glucose level. So we can see some similarities in combination of growth hormone or niacin with metformin. Both growth hormone and niacin work the same, so and they produce a high amount of glucose. This is in both cases increase of glucose production by liver and kidney is suppressed by metformin. Probably this is very important for the mechanism of extension of lifespan. There is a strong reason to believe that strictly an epigenetic mechanism can regulate lifespan. Maybe the most striking illustration of this hypothesis is the honeybee colony and the mechanism of differentiation between the queen bee and the working bee. You know that the bees babies are getting first few days the same food. It is royal jelly produced by working bees. But then the queen bee is getting only raw jelly, and it is developing faster and getting larger and lives much longer. It is actually lives up to 8 years, normally two years, because in 2 years the beekeeper changing the queen mostly, but working bee develops slowly, and it lives only short, from 3 to 6 weeks, or sometimes it is longer, but it is just because of cold season and they are not moving much. So you see that only diet can change the lifespan of insects. So queen bee can live up to 8 years, normally 3-5 years, even 2 years, but while worker bees usually last only 6 weeks. Despite of the dramatic difference in longevity, queens and workers share the same genome. However, their epigenomes are different. Epigenomes means the expression of genes are different. More specifically, queen or worker specific specialization involves a DNA methylation mechanism. Thus, DNA methylation may lie at the base of the queen longevity. These insects can be said to have mastered the art of applied epigenetics, and biologists the area which that biologists are only starting to employ. So you see, the expression of genes are regulated by DNA methylation in this case. So okay, and there were quite many experiments then giving royal jelly to humans. It resulted in improved fertility and in suppression of metabolic disorders. But in cells in vitro experiments, it was also better proliferation, suppression of the senescent cells, and increased telomeres. So these cells were existing longer, and with model mechanisms like rats and worms and flies, also was fertility was getting higher, body composition improved, the health span increased, and the lifespan also extended. So you see, the raw jelly really works, and so the secret is in the in the composition of the royal jelly. We may also note that working bees feed on pollen and nectar, that is, sugar and vegetable proteins, while the bee queen eats only royal jelly as its life from all its life from early development to its death. At very least, we may compare a standard diet based on carbohydrates and vegetable proteins with some advanced ketogenic carnivore diet enriched by supplements of vitamins and some substances for DNA methylation, similar to the composition of the royal jelly. This is a serious question, and in future I will make a special video about this, about the composition of royal jelly and about the bees. So, but let's look shortly at the composition of the royal jelly. It has a lot of niacin, so vitamin B3, you see. So vitamin B3 here it's present a lot. But next vitamin is vitamin B5. It's here it is not proportional because actually it is 45 and 36 milligram compared, so it is almost the same, almost the same amount of vitamin B3 and B5 should be taken. And another very important substance is such fatty acid like 10 hydroxy 2 decyanoic acid. It has a lot of amount inside, and if we look at the list, you may see it in the presentation. I give a link. I give a link in the description, and also maybe with high definition screen you will see that choline is a lot of choline is present in the composition of royal jelly. It is 620 compared to other substances. It is the major amount. What is so it is so this fatty acid, which is 10 hydroxy 2 decyanoic acid, or otherwise it is called queen bee fatty acid, queen 10 HDDA. It improves hyperglycemia and insulin resistance, so it works the same as metformin. So you see the substances like vitamin B3 can be combined with another substance which work the same as metformin. So but instead of metformin, the bees use this fatty acid, but it works all the same. It improves it is suppressing hyperglycemia and improves insulin resistance. So the mechanism is all the same. Even if it is very simple fatty acid with only 10 carbon atoms and only one unsaturated bond between the carbon atoms, I cannot find in natural product any kind of such fatty acid. The closest only is capric acid, which has also 10 carbon atoms, and it is present in coconut oil. Coconut oil has 7% of capric acid and also other medium chain fatty acids. And the action of these fatty acids is such that caprylic acid inhibits growth of yeast and some microbes, while capric acid is good for people with liver and blood gallbladder issues. So coconuts are very high in saturated fat, and 65% of these saturated fats are called medium chain fatty acids. A medium chain has unique characteristics which put them in different category of the other fatty acids, because they can be just digested in directly, so they can get to our blood directly and consumed for energy production. Okay, again we look at this composition. We see niacinamide or vitamin B3 combined with vitamin B5 and other vitamins of group B, and we have this combination niacinamide with substance which suppressing high glucose high glucose content in blood, and we have also choline. What is choline? Choline is a source of methyl groups needed for many steps in metabolism. So we need these methyl groups for methylation, for expression of genes. And the largest amount, the natural source of this choline is beef liver. Beef liver comprise more than 4 gram per kilogram of beef liver. Pardon. So okay, let's go now to the vitamin B3 variations, the varieties. So we have nicotinic acid or niacin, which is the simplest composition, and we have also nicotinamide, or niacinamide substance, which is not much different from niacinamide, with only this NH2 group. And we have this advanced compositions of vitamin B3. It is nicotinamide riboside and nicotinamide mononucleotide. So all these varieties of vitamin B3 are important for synthesizing of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD. NAD is important coenzyme and important substance for functioning of our living cells. And the niacin or nicotinic acid produced naturally from tryptophan. We discussed it already in previous videos, so it can go as such branch. Yeah, so then the liver can synthesize niacin from the essential amino acid tryptophan, requiring 60 milligram of tryptophan to make 1 milligram of niacin. So, but better maybe to supply niacin or niacinamide directly. So how it goes, with tryptophan at some stage gets converted to nicotinic acid, and nicotinic acid is producing this nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and then this substance is used to cycle NAD and NADP, and this is important for work of sirtuins. This is important for many reactions. Actually, the NAD is recycled inside the cell, and it is converted to nicotinamide. And then, as I said, it is important for functioning of sirtuins and gene expression. Okay, let's go again through these varieties of vitamin B3. Niacin or nicotinic acid is very simple form. So the adverse effects of high dose niacin therapy in range of 1 to 3 gram a day include hypertension, fatigue, glucose intolerance, and insulin resistance, heartburn, blurred or impaired vision, and macular edema. So, and with long-term use, the adverse effects also include hepatic dysfunction and acute liver failure. Why it is happening? Because for functioning, it needs a lot of it needs to be, hold on, okay, let's, this group NH2, so liver is is losing a lot of, so for liver it is a lot of job to produce niacinamide. Niacinamide is better than niacin. And niacinamide can be made from niacin in the body. Niacin is converted to niacinamide when it is taken in an amount greater than what is necessary for our body. Niacin and niacinamide are both precursors of the coenzymes niacinamide adenine dinucleotide NAD, and another coenzyme is NAD+, so which are absolutely important for functioning of the function of sirtuins and gene expression. Niacinamide is required for proper metabolizing of fats and sugars in the body and maintain functioning of healthy cells. High dose of niacinamide can be toxic to liver if dosages exceeding 3 gram a day for adults. So in clinical practice, the dosages up to 9 gram per day were used, but it is devastating effects, so a lot of damage to liver with such dosages. So, yet in moderate amount, niacinamide has minimal side effects. For example, niacinamide at dosages from half gram to 1 gram a day decreases the risk of skin cancer. So, okay, we see this nicotinamide riboside, which is much more expensive substance. It is different only with this ribosa. Ribosa is a sugar group, so it is actually not much. And a lot of, but as it is expensive, and pharmaceutical companies are interested to sell it and to produce and sell it, and a lot of research was supported by pharmaceutical companies, and what is established that dosages as high as 2 grams a day of nicotinamide riboside have been administered over a period of as long as 12 weeks. And for example, these studies demonstrate that nicotinamide riboside can significantly increase level of NAD plus coenzymes. So it is very helpful for work of the cells. So, and then we have another expensive substance, which is nicotinamide mononucleotide. It has a riboso group and has 1-phosphate group. It's actually all these groups are available in our body and no need to supply them additionally. So we need this niacinamide, and then it will be synthesized in our body itself. So, but as I said, first, this nicotinamide mononucleotide is much more expensive, and it is unstable to storage. It is decomposed into niacinamide. So if you have money enough and you can buy it, use it, okay, use it, but actually it is not necessary. If we look at this substance, what we see? We see this niacin, which is a base substance, and its molecular weight 123. So it was used up to half gram a day with no side effects, or with very little side effects. But niacinamide much better. Its molecular weight almost the same. Toxic level at above 3 gram a day, but it was used up to 1 gram a day with no side effects. Nicotinamide riboside, it has molecular weight twice higher. It means that toxicity will be at 6 gram per day. It is actually the working substance is nicotinamide, but as we have this additional ribosa sugar group, we have to actually we need twice more dosages to get. If we take niacinamide 1 gram, then actually it has to be 2 gram of nicotinamide riboside. And in principle, in research, mostly it was 1 gram a day, sometimes 2 gram a day, but it is equivalent to niacinamide 1 gram a day. Niacinamide mononucleotide is already about almost 3 times molecular weight higher, and so the toxic level is higher, and because it is expensive, it was used in dosages 1 gram a day, and with such dosages, with such dosages which would be equivalent 0.3 gram a day of niacinamide, there is no toxic side effects. Okay, then it is all quite obvious. You decide what you take: cheap niacinamide or expensive nicotinamide mononucleotides. But the effect will be the same. It's maybe nicotinamide mononucleotide works better because we have this ribosa group, we have this phosphate, but we can get it from food sources, no problem. Okay, metformin. While many diabetic people are getting up to 2.5 gram a day for very long, for years and years with no side effects, or very few side effects, the dosages in life extension experiment was 1.5 gram, the maximum. And then we have this vitamin B5, vitamin B6 and vitamin C, which also I believe can be taken in mega dosages. These water-soluble vitamins can be expelled from our body, and they are not toxic. Even taking more than 20 gram a day vitamin B5 producing no toxicity, and in experiments for years it was taken in dosages 10 gram a day. And vitamin B6, the only vitamin which is toxic, and it is not recommended to use more than 1 gram a day, but actually, okay, then we can use it as supplement in amount 1 gram a day. Vitamin C dosages, again, absolutely not toxic, more than 20 gram to 200 gram a day is not toxic, but mega dosages were about 10 gram a day and 200 gram a day, and 200 gram a day were used to cure some influenza, for example, and other diseases like cancer. So these substances seems to be very necessary. Okay, some vitamins are water soluble, like vitamin of B family and vitamin C, whereas other are fat soluble, like vitamin A, D, E, and K. Water soluble vitamins are not stored by the body, and any excess is excreted in the urine. Therefore, it is important to consume a diet containing the necessary amount of these vitamins. I have to know that normally it takes 6 hours to expel the excess of vitamins, so you better take these vitamins not at once, but 2-3 times a day as minimum, to keep a high level of the vitamins in the body. So what is also important, what is also a way to improve, to increase the level of vitamin B in your body. So vitamins B and other important substances like short chain fatty acids can be produced by intestinal microbiota in our body. So vitamins B are synthesized by plants, yeast, and bacteria, but not by mammals. Mammals must acquire vitamin B from dietary and microbial sources in the gut, such as the intestinal microbiota. Vitamins B are important cofactors and coenzymes in several metabolic pathways, and it has been reported recently that vitamins B also play important roles in the maintenance of immune homeostasis. So we have to feed this microbiota with proper food, and to ensure this supply of vitamin B in our body in natural way. Microbial vitamin B6, for example, is synthesized as coenzymes, and it is produced only in our body. We can get some amount with the food, but it's probably not enough. And vitamin B6 is very important for functioning. And it is synthesized first as PLP, and in large intestine, bacteria-derived vitamin B3 converted to free vitamin B6, and then it is absorbed by passive transport, by diffusion, transported to the blood and distributed through the body. So you see that the importance of the microbial production of vitamin B6, pardon. This is vitamin B6. You see it is all produced from in large intestine. Microbial vitamin B7 also, or other name vitamin H, or biotin. Biotin is an important component of coenzymes involved in metabolizing of fats and carbohydrates, influencing cell growth and affecting amino acids involved in protein synthesis. Biotin is synthesized by intestinal bacteria, so we have to produce this structure of vitamin B7. It's a relatively complicated structure, and we need it for proper functioning of our body. And to feed the bacteria, normally it is recommended to use fibers from from fruits and vegetables, but my opinion, it is much safer and much better and much easier and cheaper to use resistant starch. Resistant starch is such fraction of starch that resists the digestion with the small intestine, reaching the large intestine intact, so not used. So resistant starch is then fermented by microbes or bacteria in the large intestine and producing short-chain fatty acids and vitamins B. A carnivore diet may alter the colonic microbiota, favoring a more pro-inflammatory microbiota profile and decreased production of short-chain fatty acids. Inclusion of resistant starch in the high meat diet increased the production of short-chain fatty acids and vitamin B. So you see, I stay on ketogenic carnivore diet and consume more. I don't eat any vegetables or very few vegetables. And instead I use resistant starch as a necessary supplement for functioning of this our bacteria in. Okay, and then what is resistant starch? We can get resistant starch mostly from two sources. It is potato starch, which has almost 80% of resistant starch. If we take raw potato starch with water, it will be not consumed in small intestine, but will go to as food, will be used as food for our bacteria. So potato starch is maybe one of the best sources of resistant starch. But in Thailand it is more expensive and not easily available, so instead I can use cassava starch. Cassava starch or tapioca starch is cheap, and it also has almost 80% of resistant starch, so it is much cheaper in here, and then it has almost the same percentage of resistant starch. So another source which can be used, it is glutinous or sticky rice, and has only 21% of resistant starch, but I would say you can increase the amount of resistant starch by soaking it in fat or animal fat. So I make some, so I will discuss it later. So it is actually can be made better. What is interesting also, so in Thailand people consume two varieties, mostly two varieties of rice, white rice and this glutinous sticky rice. And what is interesting, the ants are everywhere, and they in houses. And what is interesting, when a sack of white rice stays open, and ants are not eating this rice, they are not getting inside, they are not excited. But if a sack with sticky rice stays and it has small opening so that ants can get inside, then a huge amount of ants are getting inside. So you see that they prefer the glutinous state. Not only prefer that, they don't eat white rice, but they eat the glutinous sticky rice. This okay, you can say that ants have no brain, and they have no idea that sticky rice and white rice are almost the same. It is actually, well, I better follow the nature and better eat, and I personally I eat only glutinous rice. Okay, buckwheat also interesting and important source of resistant starch in Europe. So my personal changes in the diet, in the use of supplements, are such that I have nearly doubled the intake of resistant starch to get more vitamin B of group B. Now I take resistant starch twice a day along with 500 metformin tablets. So I expect that metformin, again, it functions not only suppressing production of glucose, but also it is suppressing intake of the glucose from our guts to our blood. So if I take it resistant starch with water and metformin, then together, then more starch will go to the to the bacteria, not as glucose to my blood. And since my weight has already dropped to 65 kilo, while I am 172 centimeters tall, I already lost too much maybe weight, not too much, but actually it is kind of a lower limit. And I temporarily began to eat twice a day, because in the morning and in the evening. In the morning I eat one coconut and 8 dose of meat with patties from sticky rice fried in animal fat. I eat till satiety. And for sticky rice, I fry the patties in animal fat so that the rice is completely saturated with fat and becomes transparent, in order to avoid absorption of starch in small absorption, not absorption, but in order to avoid this glucose in small intestine, production of glucose from starch. Okay, metformin also prevents the absorption of any glucose from small intestine. Okay, dosages of niacin mononucleotide as vitamin B3 also increased about twice, because as molecular weight 3 times more than niacinamide, it's the dosage 1 gram will correspond to 3 gram, but okay, I take it 2 gram a day, in 1 gram morning and 1 gram evening, and together with metformin half gram. In time, I will change to niacinamide in dosages half gram twice a day, because it's also the same, the effect is always the same. And why should I pay more money for niacinamide and mononucleotide? Is it is expensive, not stable, and there is actually no proof that it is working better. Vitamin B5 I take 2 or 3 times a day in dosages 2.5 gram to improve digestion of fats, as it is proven already that it is very important for digestion of fats. But also in time I will reduce amount of B5 below 5 gram, so maybe a range of 2 or 3 gram would be enough. Because as we see from composition of royal jelly, we need vitamin B5 almost the same amount of as vitamin B3. So if I take vitamin B3 1 gram, maybe the same amount of vitamin B5 I would need. Vitamin C I just take twice a day in dosages 2.5 gram to keep my immune system working well. And other substances I take also because I need production of growth hormone. So because not only about extension of lifespan, but also about my appearance. And to improve my appearance, the only what I can do, I can increase production of growth hormone. And growth hormone, and for growth hormone I need DHEA. So I take twice a day in dosages 100 milligram. GABA is this amino acid I take once a day before bedtime, about 1.5 gram, together with 5 HTP, 200 milligrams. Sorry, it's not 100, 200 milligram. I take dosage, and also amino acid L-arginine. I take 300 milligram, and drop of iodine, and vitamin B12 and zinc supplement, because metformin is suppressing little bit absorption of iodine and vitamin B12. And in principle I need folic acid, but instead of folic acid, it is the source of methylation groups. So I eat beef liver for methylation. So, okay, and of course it is important not to forget about electrolytes. So, if we look again and at composition, okay, let me go back a little bit, sorry. Let's look at this slide with composition of royal jelly. Royal jelly, so where it is, okay, sorry. So I have to, yeah, okay, well, look. What is important? Sodium composition, and the ratio between sodium and potassium. Potassium in royal jelly comprise potassium in dosages 20 times higher than sodium, you see. So this why it is absolutely important to take care about electrolytes. And now I use only potassium chloride to salt my food with powder or baked paper. I believe it is absolutely important to shift from use of sodium chloride or table salt to potassium chloride. We will get sodium chloride anyway from meat and so because meat has a lot of sodium chloride, and we need sodium chloride for our blood, of course, so it is a necessary component of electrolytes. But we need much more of potassium has 20 times more than sodium. And what is interesting, magnesium twice more than sodium in raw jelly. Calcium almost the same amount as sodium. So you see, our diet is so much different from be perfect. So we don't have enough this methylation group. We don't have enough of potassium, especially potassium and magnesium. Sorry, okay, let's go back to the end. Okay, and so you see that sorry. Okay, so yeah, okay, then this video material of the video, I used some information of sources, and it has some probably copyright materials, but is I have no profit from the video. I do not violate the copyrights. So, and this video is for information purposes and science. So anybody is advised to discuss the content of this video with his or her personal physician and only act upon the advice of his or her personal physician. I am a doctor in physics and with some knowledge in biology and chemistry. So I never, I last 15 years I do not visit any physician. So I try to decide what I take, and myself. I never get ill, never get any infection. If I am getting infection, I get in again healthy in matter of hours or maybe a day. So I don't follow. I consider this medical services as bloody business and on suffering of people, and so to keep people sick. So it is my personal opinion. I do not press on anybody to follow my opinion. It is only for my personal use. I have such right. So I never follow advice of standard diet. I never follow advice of physicians, or maybe I hear, but I always try to understand myself what to do. So my opinion is such that we are like working bees. We are supposed to eat grains and carbohydrates and live short, like working bee. To live not so long, not much longer than our retirement age. So to the retirement age we have to pass away. But if you would be, if you want to live like a queen bee, so it is 20 times or longer than normal bees and working bees, then you probably have to adjust your diet. And the queen bee is getting special diet, the same genome, but the different epigenetic, different expression of genes. You see, and different expression of genes is provided by methylation. And for methylation, we need the source of methyl groups. Methyl groups is CH3 groups. So we need this choline. Choline is available in beef liver. This is probably most healthy food. But also we can get this as supplements. I ordered it, but it is not yet delivered from China because of this coronavirus. So I hope I will get it soon. Already 3 months I'm waiting for this substance, it is betaine. Betaine, it is another source of this methylation group. So let's see how it works. But definitely you have to take care about this choline or methylation groups of betaine, because without this, you see the composition of the royal jelly, the vitamin B3 or doesn't work. It doesn't work without source of methylation. So all this has to be combined. Now I just eat beef liver as a source of methylation group, but in principle I will use also supplement and I will make report on it. But without methylation group, your diet, so you have to adjust your diet so that it will be much closer to the royal jelly. And you know probably that that I keep bees here in Thailand. My motivation to keep bees was to extend my lifespan, and not only to produce honey, and not only that I like bees and I know how to breed them, how to keep them. My grandfather taught me to do it, but my motivation was to extend my lifespan. And because not every, but quite many beekeepers live longer than normal people. And why they live longer? Because in beekeeping, every week you have to check the colonies, and if you see queen cells, you have to cut them. And what is absolutely natural, what I do personally, if I cut the queen cell, I eat them. I put it in my mouth and chew them and swallow, because raw jelly is the source of our source of our health, the source of the remedies to extend the lifespan. And so I was thinking in such way, but okay, it seems so that we can additionally adjust our diet to be closer to this raw jelly, and it is by supplement of vitamin B3, vitamin B5, of this choline, and then the balance of the protein, of the potassium and sodium. So we need potassium much more than sodium. And then what I use potassium chloride with powder of black pepper to salt my meat. And I don't eat much vegetables and fruits because they are source of toxins. Nowadays, so many uh, toxins are present in these substances. So this is vegetarian diet is absolutely toxic, in my opinion. Okay. So if you was patient enough to go through the video and watch the video, and please comment, subscribe, like, ask question, and share information. I think it is important. We have to be like queen bee, not as working bee, not as a worker. We have to live longer. If you want to be a queen bee, okay, you have to probably follow me. You have to probably share this information with your relatives and your friends. And okay, have a wonderful day. We will continue this research.